All right, now that we've created our border for our emotional figure drawing project, we can start to actually draw our figure in the box. Now, for the first day, our goal is going to be to do 25% of the figure. So that means you want to actually draw the stick figure and add the muscles on for the shapes. So day one, which we're going to look at right now, is all about finding the placement on our paper and getting our figure as accurate as possible using our visual reference. And even I have my visual reference, which is my color yellow and orange, which is for excitement. So I'm going to have that up and I'm going to be continuously looking at that to make sure that my image, my drawing looks the way that it should. You also want to use your thumbnails, and you want to think about not only which thumbnail you want to use, but why you want to use it. Remember, when we were looking at my thumbnails, we were talking about what is more successful at showing the excited or excitement motion. And we all kind of agreed on number 2 or number 1, because we want to know that this person is jumping and not falling, but we also want to have a balance in our composition while keeping our artwork eye-catchy and creative. I know, who knew that being an artist was so difficult? So now, let's go ahead and start by creating our stick figure. So really figuring out where we want this to go on our artwork. And I'm going to start with just drawing the head, and I might redraw this a few times. Start drawing the body, figuring out not only where those hips and those shoulders are going to go, but even to where those arms, the expression that they create, and all the way out to the hands. Now, just because I start with a stick figure does not mean that this is going to be quite accurate to my actual figure. Instead, this is just giving me a reference to how it's going to fit my paper. Once I find that I like this, and I do, it'll give me just a little bit of space on this side and a lot more space on that side. I think it shows the foot kicked up. So that means that it's actually jumping, and we're going to get one expressive hand. So again, showing a little bit more of that body language. So after I have my stick figure, while looking at my reference, I can start to add and figure out really what that reference is. And I'm going to start with my chest, or their chest, the stomach coming down. We have the hips and where the legs are coming. And I'm actually looking at the model reference because I don't want this to look like a cartoon or look like something that I think I know. Instead, I want this to actually look like this person. And I'm just starting to block in where these body parts line up and how they line up. So I'm going to look at where her sleeve ends above her head. I'm going to look at where her wrist starts, or how much of her arm is actually coming out of that sleeve. Same with this one. If this sleeve is that long, we need to figure out how long this sleeve is. And that's actually going to make it longer, which makes my hand come out a little bit more, which is good because this body is actually starting to be a little bit bigger than my stick figure once I start to add some meat and bones to it. So I'm going to look at where her hip lines up and where that shoe would go. And that actually is going to move her pant leg down just a little bit. So I'm looking at where her body parts are in relation to her other body. I'm looking at where this hip creates a line to that shoe, where the elbow or the shirt lines up with the head. Same with over here, how much of that chest is actually showing. So your goal today, even though this is messy, would be to really look at your model and find those correct proportions. Once you have some of those correct proportions, add in those neck, going up to the shoulder. I can even start to smooth some of this out and get the shape of it. But if all you get to do today is draw your stick figure to the correct composition that you want, and to actually build the body. So add those muscles on and make sure that everything's in proportion. That is an awesome, solid day for today. If you feel like this was easy for you to do, you can go ahead and start the next part, which would be defining that body.